Hello and welcome to Strange Stories. It's great to have you here. We are all about sharing stories of near-death experiences from around the world in the hopes of bringing some light and inspiration to your day. Our daily videos offer a glimpse into what lies beyond this life, and we believe that they can help us all appreciate the gift of life a little bit more. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to grow. And to our returning viewers, welcome back. We're thrilled to have you with us again. So go ahead, grab a cozy blanket, get comfy, and join us for today's incredible near-death experience story.
I awoke in the early hours of the morning, unable to breathe unless I sat up. My husband drove me to the hospital after a quick visit to our family doctor. I was put through a battery of x-rays and blood tests, etc. Then, I was wheeled into a room. An oxygen mask was placed over my face, and I was left there to wait for the results of all the tests. My husband sat at the foot of my bed as I lay there. It was harder to breathe every time I lay down, but I was so weak that all I could do was hope they figured out what was wrong with me, so I prayed silently to myself. I was terrified of what would happen to me. I'd been given no medication at the time this happened. Only the oxygen had been given. I remember trying to take a breath and finding it difficult, as if there was a weight on my chest. I closed my eyes, and then I felt free suddenly. Not just free, but weightless and assured. I was no longer afraid. I was without a single care. I was like a child again, and I marveled at the complete lack of burden. Then I felt two hands touch my shoulders. Despite the fact that I didn't look behind me, I had a feeling these two people standing behind me were my friends. I didn't have to search. It was as if I wasn't supposed to look, but it didn't matter because I had a feeling they were good and safe. I asked if I was dead and if it was time to leave. They declined. They told me I had to accompany them. They wanted to demonstrate something to me. They did not seek my response, which would have been yes. Then they yanked my shoulders out of my body and lifted me through the ceiling, all the floors, out of the building, and into the sky. I was flying, and it was thrilling. But once we got high enough, everything went black, and there was this nothingness. Everything was quiet, and there was no temperature sensation, just deep nothing and silence. I inquired as to my location, and they positioned me with a touch of their hands, which is difficult to explain because there was nothing relative to position me, but I knew they were facing me because of their touch. They told me to keep an eye on things, so I did. I noticed something growing in the distance. I'm not sure if I got closer or if it was getting bigger. There wasn't anything else to compare it to. When I got close enough, I could see these little beings wrapping light ribbons around something central. As the unknown object approached, I began to recognize various elements that comprise our world. The experience was like watching the universe's complexity and beauty unfold in front of my eyes. As you got closer, the individual components became more detailed and vibrant, all interconnected and interacting with one another. In this amazing display, I saw cats of various shapes and sizes, their fur moving as if blown by the wind, and their eyes wide with curiosity. Huge mountains appeared, their peaks snow-capped, and rivers flowed from them, winding their way through green valleys and nurturing the surrounding environment. Various trees stood tall, their branches gently moving as if stirred by a breeze, and their leaves displaying a rainbow of colors. This scene included people from all walks of life, each with their own personal journey. Their emotions, ambitions, and experiences were all part of this intricate, interconnected network. Stars, those far-off points of light that have always captivated humans, shone brightly and appeared to take on new patterns and constellations. Each one represented an aspect of the cosmos that had been explored or remained a mystery. This encounter was unique in that all of these elements appeared to be contained within individual bubbles, each carefully designed and filled with detail. These bubbles would then burst, merging with the others, resulting in a sense of unity and interdependence among all components. As I witnessed this extraordinary event, I was overcome with an intense feeling of happiness and exhilaration. It was unlike anything I'd ever felt before, as if the purest form of joy had washed over me. It was a profound connection and understanding of the world around me, an epiphany that went beyond language and reason. I realized the universe was not just a vast, empty expanse, but an intricate, ever-changing web of connections and relationships. The beauty of this realization lay not only in the individual elements, but also in how they all come together to form a complex, harmonious whole. They inquired, "What do you see?" "Creation," I said, as if I had no doubts. Then they inquired, "What have you learned?" "Everything is everything else," I said, as if I'd always known, even though I'd never considered this philosophy. Then they asked again with a simple, "And?" I was full of knowledge I'd never known. I replied, "Whatever anyone does affects everything." It was interesting hearing answers come from my lips that I didn't know I knew. They said, "Good." The next thing I know, they're yanking me away from the happiness and transporting me somewhere else. We were in an all-white environment in an instant. I knew they were still behind me, but I had no need or desire to look back. No walls, no floor, no ceiling. This place was completely white. A door was the only thing that stood out. It was a simple red door, similar to a stage door, but nothing held it up. It just stood there, the only color in place. I assumed it was the end of my life and asked them again if I was going to die now. I didn't ask out of fear, but out of childish curiosity. They said no. They said I had one more thing to learn before I returned. They instructed me to enter through the front door, knowing it was death's door. I politely countered that they had just said I wasn't going to die just yet. I pushed open the door, completely trusting in them, slightly perplexed but content. I passed through it and felt nothing different. I assured them that nothing had occurred. They told me to do it again, but this time with shoes. For the first time, I noticed that I had legs and feet and was wearing bright red sneakers. Strangely, I had never considered my body except in the context of what I was seeing outside of it until that moment. I felt nothing the second time I walked through the door and told them so. They told me to examine my feet, so I did. The shoes remained on the other side of the door. They'd never come in with me. Then they asked me again what I'd discovered. I quickly responded that we could not take material possessions with us when we died. I was pleased with my answer, though I felt there was more because what I said seemed so obvious. They persisted with the same secondary question, and the words rolled off my tongue as if they'd always been there, just out of my awareness and instantly recalled. Because I didn't change, I felt nothing different when I walked through the door. My location had changed. My sneakers were never a part of who I was. "We don't change when we die," I said. "We are perpetual butterflies. We simply switch to another sky. If I had tears, I cannot feel them. And yet, what I just said reverberated into my heart, soul, and very being. I knew I'd learned something. They said it was time to return. I willingly submitted to their navigation through and out of wherever we were. We emerged from the darkness once more, passing through the roof, ceilings, and floor until I was back in my room. I lowered myself horizontally, as if to settle into my body, but I hovered a few feet above. I felt their hands slip away from my shoulders, and I didn't want them to. I informed them that I was not yet in my body. They said I had the authority to do so and didn't need them. They never said goodbye. They simply walked away. I could see my husband still at the foot of my bed. He dozed off while sitting in the chair. I sort of relaxed my way down, and it worked. I got a few inches in, and like a child with a new toy, went back up to see if I could do it again, and I did. I was about to try again, but I saw him stirring, and my heart suddenly worried he would be afraid. I didn't want to scare him, so I went the whole way down. Everything returned when I returned to my body. The heaviness, the pain in my chest, the difficulty breathing, my attitude was the only thing that was different. I was completely unafraid. I was so assured. For the first time in my life, I had nothing to fear from death. I had new answers, as well as a new perspective and philosophy. What I did here was important, and where I was going was good. My husband reached out to touch my hand. His face was full of concern. I assured him that I was not going to die just yet. Not from this anyway. I've only told a few people about it since then. I try not to tell anyone unless I believe they need to know and will not suspect I'm making it up. The only reason I'm telling you this is because my daughter showed me this website and inspired me to share it with others who are seeking assurance of life after death.